So, Sarah, first of all, congratulations on the last two national records that you've broken over 3,000 meters just in the last couple of weeks. We'll start off in Boston. Talk us through that race a little bit and how it felt to clock the 8:35 over 3,000.
Yeah, it was great. Like I was excited to go over to Boston because, I think every year you see people go over and run. I mean, there's two tracks in Boston or that people go to, but that New Balance race, like every year I kind of watch it and think it looks cool. So I was really excited to go over. And yeah, I actually that race was kind of a strange one for me because I didn't really have like the perfect kind of lead up into it. We had been on training camp in South Africa, and so I was looking forward to it. But I ended up getting just like a bit ill on the way home, and so then my week leading up to the race was just not my normal kind of type of preparation, and not like what you'd want leading into a race. By the time I got there, I was totally fine and recovered. But I think I just then raced probably a little bit cautiously. That was because it was probably just playing on my mind a little bit. But it was such a good race and to be part of. And I was a little bit, and like obviously I was happy to run a national record after and a PB, but I was a little bit frustrated after because I knew I'd kind of been a bit cautious and I'd sort of ran in the second pack and then kind of closed quite strongly. And even in the race, I knew I kind of made a mistake with my positioning. So it was a little bit frustrating, but I was happy, especially given I definitely got my confidence up, kind of knowing that I was totally fine, and it was great because I had another go the next week, so it was fine.
And then, considering the illness and stuff when you had then going into the lead up to the Millrose Games, did you kind of know it in you that you could run I was going to say faster, but you ran a lot faster. You ran that 5 seconds. Did you know that that was coming?
Yeah, I kind of did, I suppose. I knew I definitely had faster in me. I like, and also just even doing one race would, I would think but when I raced in Boston, I was back to normal. I was probably at 100%, but um, just, I kind of knew when I finished, I had more left. And even just doing a race brings you on so much. So I knew like I would have gotten a lot from the race in Boston. So yeah, I knew I had quicker in me, and I kind of knew I could run faster for the first 2 kilometers, and it wouldn't that I wouldn't that wouldn't kind of ruin the end of my race. I'd still be able to finish strong, and that's like exactly what happened. I ran in Millrose. I ran faster for the first 2K, and then I actually closed faster as well. But yeah, I just wasn't sure exactly how much quicker it would amount to, but I knew I definitely had a few seconds in me.
Super. And speaking of the indoor season, then you've had a busy indoor season so far, and now we have the Keely Classic, of course, coming
Mhm.
up this weekend. How are you feeling ahead of that?
Yeah, it's exciting. I'm really looking forward to it. I think it's a really cool concept, and yeah, I'm excited to go and race with so many of my training group there as well. I think it'll be really fun. And yeah, it's busy because you just got home and you're racing again, but it's like it's close. You don't have to leave the UK, which is nice. But yeah, I like racing a lot because I think it just kind of builds momentum, and I'm excited to go back down to a 1500. But yeah, so I'm looking forward to it.
And it's obviously, as you said, it's a bit of a different concept to what we've seen before. What do you think it's doing for the sport of athletics, I guess?
I think anything kind of new and like any type of innovation is good. And I guess it's just the first edition of it, so that I'm sure they'll build on it as well. Um, and I think yeah, like the way they're marketing it and promoting it, is yeah, just making it exciting. But I kind of think any new race opportunities, um, or any kind of innovation and sort of like modernization is good for the sport.
And we've spoke about, you've had a busy indoor season and it's still continuing. We've got lots more still coming up, I guess, with the Europeans. And then, of course, Worlds. Indoor wise, what have you kind of got your eyes on after that Keely Classic?
Well, straight away following the Keely Classic, it's my Irish national championships are on, so I'll go home and race that. And then yeah, I think this year for me, I was kind of always planning on focusing on the 3K indoors, just because it makes sense for this time of year, and I think 3K is like a very good distance for me. Um, and I've never actually raced it at a championship before, so I'm planning on racing that hopefully at European indoors and World indoors as well. So yeah, hopefully I'll get a chance to go quicker and maybe yeah, place well at those.
And looking back on last year of 2024, it was quite a busy whole year for you there as well. How do you feel kind of being able to reflect back on that and now you're back in this indoor season in 2025?
Yeah, I think like 2024 was kind of it was kind of yeah, a mad year, and um I I find it quite challenging to be honest. I think it was like my first year as a full-time athlete, and so I mean, I probably put like a bit of pressure on myself because of that. And then the year previous had been my first year with Jenny and Trevor, and I kind of had a breakthrough, so I was just hoping to build on that. Um, and I finished the year with like some great PBs, and I ran I ran 3:57 and 2 minutes for the 800. And I think if you told me at the start of the year, I would have been really happy with those. But the championships or the Olympics were like quite a big disappointment for me. And I definitely, really underperformed. And yeah, so that was hard. And then obviously, it was kind of difficult when, my training group were so successful. And so I was obviously so happy for them. But it was also hard to kind of then have such a feel like I had everyone had performed so well and I had underperformed a bit by my standards. And so that was hard, but I think I've now kind of dealt with it and definitely learned so much from the whole experience. But I think honestly I probably just put a bit too much pressure on everything last year, and um like there for no reason really. There is no pressure on me. I just have to run as fast as I can, and that's it. So I think now since 2025 have started, I mean only ran twice, but I have just been trying to enjoy it a bit more and kind of realize yeah, it's not yeah, just not feel as much stress or pressure about it, and it's really just about like doing the best that I can and just trying to be a bit more yeah, have a bit more fun.
And speaking of that training group, you mentioned there that the M11 track group, you've had so many good performances as a group, and it seems to be gaining more and more attraction by the day.
Mhm.
When did I think you did kind of touch on it there, but when did you first join Trevor and Jenny, and how did that all come about?
Yeah, so I joined Trevor and Jenny after towards the end of 2022. So after that 2022 summer, I had raced that year at Worlds in Oregon and Europeans in Munich, and then I kind of after that knew I wanted to make a bit of a change. I had been training in Ireland by myself mainly. I had a great coach, Owen Marnell, but it was just like I didn't have training partners, and I sort of knew that if I wanted to, pursue it full time, it wouldn't really be sustainable to stay where I was. And it was actually my old coach Owen's, his suggestion to reach out to Jenny and Trevor, which I probably wouldn't have done myself because I sort of thought it was, just like an 800-meter group. I obviously knew of Keely because I've been, competing at the same kind of championships as her growing up. And then I also knew that Erin Wallace had joined the group. But anyways, yeah, my old coach just encouraged me to reach out, and so I did, and I went on training camp with them in 2022 in Font Romeu, and that was kind of yeah it. We all got along well, and from there I just became part of the group. But I didn't. I still had to finish up university in Ireland, so I didn't move over here until that summer of 2023. So I've been with the group just over 2 years now, or a good bit over 2 years now, which is it's it's amazing how much it's changed even in the 2 years since I've been here. Because you know now it feels like I'm one of the people who've been here a long time, just because we've had so many new additions. But it's been cool.
Why do you think it does work so well? I mean, the performances we've seen come out of that group have, as you said, have been great, and it keeps going. What do you think it is that just makes you guys all work together and produce those performances?
Um, I think, I mean, obviously, just having a group brings everyone like up. We're having such good training partners. Like obviously just raises the bar, and I think it means we can train harder and train better because we all kind of have each other. And I suppose when you see people like Keely or Georgia like so close to home, and you kind of see what they're doing, and you realize it kind of makes it seem a bit more possible. Like that it's not they're just normal people training really hard and then getting the results. And obviously, like you can learn from them as well. And then I think, obviously it works because there's a great plan in place, and Trevor um, and Jenny, just create a great program. And, I guess it's just proven to work. Um, so yeah, and I think the standard's just been set really high. So everyone's kind of aiming for that. And yeah.
I mean, the training camps that you guys do go on, look, I mean, from what we can see from like the M11 social media, they seem like a lot of fun as well. I guess that plays a huge role in it as well.
Yeah, yeah. They're a lot of fun. I think that's like another aspect that Trevor and Jenny really value, or it's like a really important part for them, is that everyone's kind of happy and enjoying themselves, and they love it when we're all like having a laugh. Um, so yeah, and I think the more, this year we've had a lot of new people join, and from like all different, parts of Europe and stuff, and um it's funny, I suppose, because you never really find yourself hanging out with that group of people in any other circumstance. But yeah, I think everyone gets on well, and everyone trains really, really hard. So you kind of have to make sure you're having fun as well, because it would just be a bit grim otherwise. But yeah, it's a really nice dynamic.
And I mean, speaking of strong performances, as well as strong performances from that group, we actually are seeing a lot of strong performances from Irish athletes, obviously including yourself, but most recently, we've seen more national records coming through. And then in Paris as well, we saw a great performance from Ireland themselves. What do you make of how strong that Irish side is just now in athletics?
Yeah, it's really good to Ireland are doing really well for such a small country as well. Yeah, I think it's really nice to be part of it at the minute, with everyone doing so well. And it's kind of a similar thing, I think, where, one person does something and then other people just like feel like they just makes them believe that they can do it too. And I think when you're doing well like that, the morale is just kind of high, and there's just like a positive atmosphere within the team. And I really like, whenever we go on championships and stuff, it's really nice being part of the Irish team. It's just a great group of people, and I think everyone's just very nice to each other and stuff, which is helpful. But yeah, um, again, I think it's just one person. Just takes one person to kind of set the standard high, and then everyone sort of follows.
Yeah, and I can imagine as like a small country, as you said, and it must be a really supportive kind of cohort of athletes and something which hopefully encourages, I guess, the future generation of young Irish athletes just now as well.
Yeah, definitely, it is. It's a really supportive group, and like all the staff and coaches, it's just a really, it's kind of, I suppose we all feel like we know each other, and so it's a really nice atmosphere. And yeah, I think I would hope that it's encouraging more and more young people to to get involved. Like obviously I don't live in Ireland anymore, so I don't really see it quite so much. But yeah, I think there's been so much like positive media coverage of athletics in Ireland, especially after Paris. And yeah, I saw like some photos of like younger girls wearing bows in their hair, like copying the girls from the relay, which is just so like nice to see. Um, but yeah, I hope it. I think it is, and I hope so because I think when I was younger, there probably wasn't as much going on in it that, or as many Irish athletes competing on the global stage. So I probably would have really loved it if there were, or would have looked up to them a lot. So yeah, I hope it is.
And my final question is kind of, looking ahead. We've spoke about the indoors, but I guess still a whole year ahead of us, and you may not know exactly what that holds. But have you got any goals in mind that you do want to achieve, or anything that you want to aim? Obviously, there's some big things this year. We've got Tokyo, it's the main one. But I'm not sure if you've got anything direct that you're hoping for.
Yeah, obviously Tokyo's the main goal, and it's the end of it. It's still quite a while away now. But I have the qualifying time for that, so all going well, hopefully I should be there. And um I would hope to just improve on my performance from last year, I guess. And um I've kind of struggled a few times at championships to get the best out of myself. So that's a major goal for me. And then in terms of obviously I want to run fast and run PBs and break Irish records. But this year I kind of didn't really want to set such sort of like concrete goals, and particularly in terms of time, because yeah, I just wanted to race with like a little bit less pressure, expectation, and almost just not have a number in mind, because I suppose a number can kind of be limiting too. Sort of just want to not put any expectation or any limits on myself this year, and then just run as fast as I can and see what happens.